All right, guys, in this lesson, I'm going to cover some really important mindset items. Like anything in life, your mindset walking in and the beliefs you have a huge impact over your success, and especially is the case with sales. I find a lot of people have kind of the wrong mindset about sales, and what I really want to cover is just some principles that are going to help you wrap your head around this whole thing so that you can do awesome. So I want to explain, what sales is really and what it isn't. What sales isn't is it's not selling your product to everybody. It's not about getting something out of the other person or one-upping other people. It's really about helping. So really what you're doing in sales is you're creating value for other people. In sales, you're helping someone else change, and that's why they buy, right? The only reason somebody buys anything is to change their situation, to go from point A to point B. So ultimately what you're doing in sales is you're having the opportunity to actually help someone with solve an important problem and make an important transformation in their life or in their business. So selling is helping, and I find that when we have this mindset, rather than we're just going out there to make a sale and get some money or get something out of something with someone else, then we're a lot more motivated and more excited about it. So, think about that used car salesman that's really just trying to push and sell their car to everybody. That's not how you want to be. Instead, think of yourself as how you would speak to a doctor or an accountant, right? Think of like a professional that's helping you out. When you go into the doctor's office, wouldn't it be weird if they were just like throwing a bunch of pills in your face, like before you said anything, they were just like, oh, you got to try these new pills, I got them for half off. It'd be really weird, right? That's not what happens at the doctor's office. Usually they'll come in, they'll just ask a lot of questions, listen to you, and really try to genuinely find out what your problem is and help you. And that's exactly how you should be in sales. And if you have that same mindset as like a doctor or an accountant or a business consultant, then you're going to have much better experiences for yourself and for your prospects. So ultimately what you're helping someone do, no matter what you're selling, you're helping somebody go from point A, which is where they are now, to point B. Just realize that whatever you sell, whatever product or service you offer, it's helping somebody improve their condition in life or their business. And ultimately, your product is the vehicle. That's the thing that takes them from point A to point B. So the next principle I want to share with you is that in sales, you're not a product pusher, you're a problem finder and a problem solver. So again, you're not going out there to try to offer your service to everybody. What you're really doing is you're just trying to find and hunt for people that actually need what you have and have an important problem that they need solved. So when you can take that mindset of just being curious about finding people's problems and helping to solve them, you're going to do much better in all of your sales efforts. So again, you're not out there trying to push your product, you're not trying to sell something to someone that they don't need, you're just going to try to find problems and solve them. So you got to really take the time to think, like, whatever you offer, what problem does it solve? What pain do you actually solve for people? And the best thing you can do is just think to your past clients. Why have people come to you in the first place and bought something from you? What was the issue they were trying to solve? So that's what you really want to focus, and we'll get to messaging later in the course, but you really want to cater all of your conversations, all of your messaging around the problem that you solve, not the product. Because when you just start talking about your product too much, which is okay because you're excited about it, you just end up turning people off because they just think, oh, it's another salesperson. But again, it's all about really trying to be that doctor, trying to genuinely see what problem do people have and can you help them solve it. So the next principle I want to cover is selling the right thing to the right person. So ultimately, that's your goal in marketing and sales, is you're just trying to find the right people that, again, have that problem and sell them the right solution. Again, a lot of people, in sales, they go about trying to just sell their product or service to anybody in the world that has a wallet, right? So that's really going to turn off your potential customers if they can just tell that you're just out there to make a sale. Your goal is just to try to find the right people that need what you're offering. So again, you're just trying to sell the solution to people that have that problem. So again, sell the right thing to the right person. So the next principle I want to share with you about sales is that sales is not about you. It's not about you and your agenda. It's about the customer. Put all of your focus on the customer. Anytime you're doing anything with your marketing or with your sales or you're having an actual conversation, keep all of your focus on the customer. Because again, the only reason you and your product or service or your business exist is to help somebody go from A to B. So keep all of your focus on the customer. Just remember that it's all about them. That's why you're there in the first place. And ultimately, your goal is just to be empathetic and act in their best interest. So the more that you can kind of just keep your customer in mind and the more that you can focus on helping them, the more that you're actually going to feel good about selling and not think like you're just out there to get something from somebody. And your customer will appreciate it as well. They'll see that in your intention. So another very important principle about sales is that sales is a process. You're basically trying to take someone from left to right through the sales process. And we'll get into how this actually, plays into what we're doing with lead generation here. But basically, you're not trying to just skip and just meet someone and go from stranger to a sale like right away. Especially when you're doing marketing and you're generating leads in the first place through email and LinkedIn, All you're doing in that step is trying to get somebody to respond and to make a connection. And then you're trying to take that conversation and turn it into a call. And maybe that call goes to another call, and eventually you have a client. But what a lot of people do is they try to rush the process, and they get so caught up in like trying to sell all the features and benefits of what they're offering and try to make a sale, at the first hello. That's not what you want to do, and ultimately you put a lot more pressure on yourself that way. So again, you're just trying to take it one step at a time and focus on whatever the next step is for your sales process. All right, the next principle is that consistency is the name of the game. And I find that this is the case with a lot of things in life, right? Let's say you're trying to get fit and go to the gym. You wouldn't just go to the gym for 8 hours once a month and expect to get fit, right? It's not about like a lot of intense effort all at once. If you go to the gym for 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, you'll be way better off in the long run. So it's the same thing with sales. You have to be consistent about it. Don't put all of this pressure on yourself to spend 6 hours a day doing this. If you can just get yourself to do this for 30 minutes, 1 hour a day, spend time prospecting and building your network, then you'll be in great shape. So more important is really developing a habit out of sales and just being consistent with it over the long run. You may not see results in the first week or the first few weeks, but if you keep just doing a little bit every day, then you'll get where you want to go. And ultimately, that's the one thing that you can take with you to have a lot of success applying what you're going to learn in the course here. Because again, it's going to take some time to get the hang of it, but as long as you can kind of just keep showing up and get good at that, then you'll be in great shape. The next principle is that sales is a numbers game. And this plays a lot into what I was talking about earlier about consistency. So no matter what, no matter how good you are at sales, no matter how amazing your product or service is, you need to talk to a lot of people. And that's why you need to be consistent in making new conversations and new relationships every single week. Ultimately, no matter what you're doing, no matter how exceptional your product or service is, most people are going to tell you no. Not because they don't like you, just because they don't need what you offer, or they don't need it at that time, or they can't afford it. So in order to kind of outweigh all of those no's, you just need to spend a lot of time building a lot of conversations and playing the numbers game. Of course, in this course, we're going to teach you how you can be really efficient, how you can really be really effective and skip through a lot of the trial and error. But no matter what, it's definitely a numbers game. If you talk to 5 new prospects a week, ultimately you're not going to get where you want to go. So you want to make sure that over time you're getting your numbers up as much as possible and just trying to play the odds in your favor, really. What I like to think is that, every no gets you closer to a yes. So the more that you can keep going through those conversations, you'll get a lot of no's, but you get closer to that next yes. The next principle I want to teach you about sales and marketing is that really what you're doing is you're just running a series of experiments. Don't think of like success and failure. Think of it as you're either winning or you're learning. Because anytime, you run a marketing campaign or you try a new sales activity, it might not work at first. You might not get the results you want, but you learn something that helps you get the results you want. When I first got into marketing maybe 8-9 years ago, I thought marketing was this thing where you have to have this amazing, creative gift and you have to launch a campaign that's like a smashing hit the first time, but that's not how it is at all. Generally, most of the marketing campaigns you run are actually not going to get you the results you want, but you learn things, you get data, and then you adjust your messaging or you adjust some part of your campaign to change it so that you do get the results you want. So this is also important because, again, no matter what you're doing in business, whatever you're selling, you're going to face a lot of rejection and a lot of no's. But if you can not take that personally and just realize that you're either winning or you're learning like what didn't work, that's going to help you in the long run. So don't put all this pressure on yourself to win, to have a lot of success. Of course, that's the goal. We're here to grow our businesses. But ultimately, just realize everything you're doing is just an experiment. That way, if it doesn't go the way you want, you're not demotivated to go try again and try differently. And then the last principle, which we touched on a little bit earlier, is be prepared for the no's, okay? All you're doing is you're getting the right message to the right person. Don't take it personally when someone tells you no. Otherwise, you're not going to last very long. Ultimately, when someone's telling you no in sales, then they're not telling you no personally. They're not saying that they don't like you or they hate your guts. Ultimately, they're just saying that, hey, I don't need what you're offering, or I just don't need it at this time, and maybe later we can do business. So it's very, very important to kind of separate yourself and detach yourself from the outcome in business. Because again, most people, just no matter what, aren't going to need or aren't going to take you up on your offer. So be prepared for the no's, know not to take it personally, and just have fun with it. All right, I hope I got your mindset right. That's all of the really important sales principles you need to know and keep in mind, and I'll catch you in the next one.